At best, the alien abduction phenomenon is a terrifying, traumatic experience. At its worst, well, we think they sometimes take people and don't put them back.
I lost my mother and brother to this trauma. He murdered her, then killed himself.
These women are being used as human incubators, with all their children stolen away into the night.
A 6-foot-tall entity of blue-white light paralyzed me, then bent down and said into my ear, "Hi, Steve." It knew my name.
We hear gruesome stories of experiments and dissections. Imagine dying on a metal table while paralyzed, surrounded by alien faces. It's a real horror story. Welcome, everyone, to our show this evening. This is our Gnostic TV network show called Abductions 101, UFOs, and the Paranormal Connection. We're your hosts, Leslie and Stephen Shaw.
Hello.
Hi. And tonight, we always try and do a single episode from our personal experiences. We like to open with one of our personal experiences. And since tonight's guest is talking about Christmas, we thought Stephen would share with him something that happened to him on Christmas.
Yes, I thought I'd take my glasses off for this one. This happened in 1982 at the house we were building in Sonora, California, in the foothills of the Sierras. And I was 22 at the time, and this was December the 26th at 4:44 in the morning. I remember specifically because looking at the VCR clock. So anyways, at that point, I had been studying Tai Chi for a while, seriously, and I was also very much into Paramahansa Yogananda's work, like Autobiography of a Yogi and other things such as that. So it was my practice at that time to sleep on the floor. I was still doing military duty. I was halfway through my 6-year military duty, but regardless of that, I loved sleeping on the floor. So I read one of Paramahansa's Christmas meditations about 11:30 at night and kind of meditated upon it and then, put it aside and then went to sleep. So I woke up, like I said, 4:44 in the morning, and my body felt like it was glued to the floor in a sense. I could move if I wanted to, but it was one of these sensations of being, hyper relaxed. And being as I've been an astral projector, I kind of thought, well, this is really neat. And so anyways, I thought about God's love. And I have no real clue why I thought about that, not being particularly a religious person. But I remember thinking the thought in my heart and then feeling the thought in my head. And I smiled. And I had no other thoughts in my head, just about God's love. And like these 2 points came together and met in my third eye. And at that point, from like 1 billion miles away, this inverted pyramid of blue-white light came, boom, hit me right in my third eye, and my whole body was encased in this cocoon of blue-white light. And I was thinking, well, what do I say? It's one of these ineffable experiences. Like, do you say thank you? Do you say, like, what's going on? I just thought, wow. All the things I'd read about, like the Zen teachings and even in Tai Chi, about having that one pure thought balanced with emotion. And that's how you attain basically enlightenment. And at that point, I thought, well, should I just basically just ditch the military and go to Tibet and just become like a lama? A spiritual guy, because this is the easiest thing to do, but it's also the hardest thing to do in like a Western civilization.
Yeah, and ditch your family who needed you,
Yeah, my family needed me to help my brother and sister get through school and support the family and such as that. And it was just one of these real turning points in my life where I just knew. Now, number one, it was great. It was great to know that these teachings, these old teachings, are real. And these people are not BSers, okay? It's true. And I think that it has a lot to do with the purity of the person and the youth of the person. Let's say, for instance, a person in their 50s that has been on a lot of medications, let's say, would not have the same experience that I had. Okay.
And tell me about the Rosicrucian thing then.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Leslie. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, 6 months later, my dad and I were cabinet makers. My dad was the master, and I was the apprentice, okay? And we were driving to a job site, and he was driving, and I was just thumbing through a Psychology Today magazine. This was 1983, because it was, 82 was when it happened, so 83. And I was just looking at the advertisements in the back, and there was, I kid you not, there's this advertisement of a man laying on his back on a stone tablet with this inverted pyramid of multicolored light in stages hitting him in his third eye and encompassing his whole body in this cocoon. And the advertisement said, you can attain enlightenment through the Rosicrucians. And I see, my dad had known about this. I told him about this, what had happened to me, and he looked at it, and I said, Dad, this is what happened to me, except it wasn't layered. It was just blue-white. So it just blew my mind, and it kind of blew his too. So.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Tell me again the name of what was his name?
Paramahansa Yogananda.
And the book that you had been reading?
Metaphysical Meditations.
Great. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Now we'll get to our guest tonight. Welcome back, everyone. This is our wonderful guest for tonight. Say hi to John Radtke.
Hi, John.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hello.
John is the host of the acclaimed paranormal podcast Dairyland Frights, which delves into the eerie and the unexplained and explores topics ranging from ghosts and cryptids to aliens, UAPs, and conspiracies. Yep. He had us on recently, and that's exactly what we talked about. Was a lot of our theories concerning that.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yes.
He interviews mediums, authors, witches, clairvoyants, and paranormal investigators from around the globe. John brings unique perspective and stories to his audience. He has extensive experience on ghost tours and haunted investigations, and he continues to immerse himself in the paranormal world and be a trusted voice in the same world. Thank you so much, John, and welcome to our show, Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I keep tripping over it.
I love to be back. Stephen and Leslie, you guys are a great guest, and I'm excited you're doing this because now I get another podcast to listen to.
Thank you. Yes, I know. I've got quite a few that I pop in on, myself. Yep. So as you can see, I changed my background with the Christmas lights, and I'm not.
Oh yeah, you did.
And I'm not wearing the uniform like Steve is. It went with my Christmas red.
Yeah, so. My military background makes me have to wear the uniform.
I love it. I love the Christmas lights, and I love the shirt, Stephen. That looks great.
And
the thing is, the gray aliens are actually Jewish, so it's actually more of a Hanukkah thing, actually. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
I think he's joking. Yeah,
I'm joking. Of course, I'm joking.
No, we almost got some people. People are going to listen to this and go, "Really?"
Yeah, exactly. 10% will basically say no.
Oh, yes, I hope that no one actually believes that or just makes it a meme where they chop it out of context.
Here come the emails, you two. Here come the emails.
No, here it comes.
We'll get letters.
You'll get comments.
Like Charles Nelson O'Reilly used to say on Match Game, we'll get letters.
Yeah. So I was just telling John that I was too lazy and to make a Christmas episode of our own, and do all the research into the wonderful myths and legends of Christmas. But John had done it. And we were guests on his podcast a few weeks ago. I said, let's get John on, and he can tell us all about it. And that'll be our Christmas episode. Tell us the name of the Christmas episode, John.
Yes. So it's a long title, folks. So bear with me when I read it. And, I have to actually look it up myself because I was like, oh, well, let me see. What is it again? So it is called Spooky Yuletide Tales, Exploring Christmas Myths and creatures with Rissa. And Rissa is my friend from Baltimore, Maryland. She is a medium, and she is also a tour guide and a historian. And she has these great. I've had her on a couple of times, actually 3 times, and she just knows legends like unbelievably well. And she teaches class on them. She teaches classes on them. So she goes to bookstores, and you can sign up to listen to her. And her knowledge is through the roof. It's crazy how much she knows. Like we did on Halloween, we did about traditions like black cats and witches and pumpkins and like, where do these traditions come from? Why do you bob for apples? I know a lot of people don't do it anymore, but we used to, I bet. Throw a bunch of apples in a bucket and you stick your head in there and try to get an apple. It's like, okay, cool. And she's just really interesting. And she does readings. So if you go to Tea and Smoke by Rissa.com, you can go there, and she's a wonderful person. She would, she could do your reading, or she can, if you want to hear a lecture of hers, she's amazing. So she was on with me, and we learned all this stuff that I did not know, and it kind of scared me what foreign countries, how they celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty gruesome too,
yes,
extremely gruesome. And
like the troll lady that, cooks children, that one.
Gryla. Yeah, Gryla.
Gryla, Yes. And her husband, it doesn't do much, but he's happy to eat the children, I think, once they're cooked.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah, kind of like husbands in general. Like, you make dinner and we eat it, right?
And the Al Bundys of the world. Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where was that one from? That was Iceland, was it?
Correct. This is Gryla is from Iceland. And to kind of give if this is okay, like kind of give you just a real interesting kind of high view of her. So she's a monstrous entity who lives in the wilderness of Iceland. And she came from medieval sources. So what happens is she was in like 17th century poems about Gryla, and she is generally represented as a hideous and greedy troll-like crone who wanders between human settlements and demands charity from those she encounters, often asking for naughty children. So this is stories. This is just unbelievable to me. So these stories have been handed down, and basically what you would tell your child before going to bed on Christmas, well, you better not be naughty, or before Christmas, you better not be naughty, or Gryla's going to come. And what Gryla would do, she would take the kids like from the parents, and I guess the parents were like, yeah, they're naughty. Here you go.
What can we do? Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much we can do about it. And then she'd stick them in the sack, and then later she would eat them. Right. And then she had these I'm not trolls, but I'm trying to think about it.
Her children, right?
Elves. Yeah, her children were
Yule Kids or something.
Yeah, they're what is the they were like big giants, basically.
Little trolls?
Yeah, no, they were actually big giants.
Big trolls. Yeah, big trolls.
Yeah, basically big giant trolls. And basically she would just go around with her family members, if you want to call them, and just kind of like, okay, let's get the kids. They've been all naughty.
Snatch the naughty children up. Yeah.
So what's always funny to me is no one like had a problem with it. They're like, yep, see ya.
Yep.
Well,
sleep well, kitty.
That sounds like an extreme version of Elf on a Shelf. Yeah. We'll be watching you.
Yeah. Doesn't it though?
Even the Santa of Europe is a little more crankier, like the Bell'nickel guy, He's kind of like a crotchety grouchy grandpa version of Santa. It seems to me,
Yes, and like my favorite one. So Gryla is really bad. It's in Iceland. Now Krampus was in Germany. The reason you pretty much everyone is, and I'll talk about Bell'nickel here in a second, but Krampus really wasn't that popular until like movies and stories started to bring him back again. Now Krampus is he's basically a demon, and he comes into your house again for naughty children, and he carries a bag of, well, we should know it because we're around probably the same age, switches. So basically it's a big stabby stick that maybe your grandpa beat you with if you're a naughty kid. He has a whole bag of them, and he just comes in and just grabs the children and just beats them with these things.
Whips them, huh? Yeah, whips them with a stick.
And again, parents are like, yep. Sorry, you should have thought about stealing the cookies before without telling me, or whatever you did, spilled the milk. I don't know what the kid did. Geez.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the era of the times where they were a little more bloodthirsty back then. Like the Grimm's fairy tales. When I first read them, I was shocked at how gruesome they were, and
and then the whole tale of Beowulf and Grendel, which is interesting because you say Gryla and Grendel, and this hideous creature that Beowulf has to fight, that which is interesting. I think all these things are frequently they're loosely based, at least in some reality, at least in that we found. I mean, I certainly have found in my life that there are entities and creatures that you wouldn't normally see under normal circumstances, but I certainly have seen them. I've interacted, so I don't discount these legends and these myths, because there's frequently a grain of truth behind them.
Yeah, there's so many reports too. It's like what is it now? Thousands of reports of people seeing Bigfoot, and it's all thousands upon thousands of these people are not lying. There's
now we have environmental evidence too that that Bigfoot does exist.
There's like DNA testing in the waters of Northern California, and they're coming up with an unknown primate in the region.
Absolutely. I had a author on. Her name was Linda Eastburn. And she's written about this, and she, along with some other Bigfoot trackers and everything, have gone out and they have put out puzzle boxes, basically, of these difficult puzzles where they have spotted or have heard the Bigfoot is. And then they have come back, and these puzzle boxes have been solved. Like, something solved these. And she's like, that's really interesting, because let's say someone's been walking along the trail and they see this, but if you were walking along a trail, would you see a puzzle box? Would you like sit down and do it? Probably not, right? You'd probably be like, I don't know what this is. This could be a trap. This could be something out here that I don't want to be involved in. But they came back and they saw this, and they were just amazed. And they've done it several times too, and the same thing keeps happening. They find tracks of what they believe to be Bigfoot, and the boxes of the puzzle has been solved.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's a new one on me. That's really kind of encouraging in a way.
Yeah, that shows an IQ of it, somewhere in the 80s at least.
It shows they're willing to interact with us. They think this is funny. This is easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We think they may be telepathic.
Well, no, they are telepathic.
Yeah, I mean, Bigfoot. And we think there's a connection between them and the
aliens.
The aliens, who are not really aliens.
They're not really aliens. We call them we call them our cousins.
They're our cousins to us, yeah.
Their behavior patterns doesn't add up.
Did we talk about it on your show where there's this lake called Rupkund where I
think you can bring it back up. Yeah,
it's actually in India, but it's on the slopes of Mount Kailash, which is mostly in Tibet. It's right on the border. And it's at 14,000 feet above the tree line. And they found all these skeletons in it. And
a few thousand, actually.
And all these skeletons, they thought, well, maybe there was a battle here, and the losers all just got thrown in the lake or something.
Right.
Sure.
But it's turning out that's not what happened, because they're testing their DNA, testing the skeletons now, and they're finding they span over 1,000 years.
Right.
And they span a bunch of different races too.
Yeah.
It's like there's Caucasians and
Celtic and you name it,
all different mix
from different areas of the world, and the vast majority of them have their heads bashed in, as if somebody with a
big club, you just went bam,
Yeah.
And so I think they're using them as sentries on Mount Kailash anyway, as sentries to prevent people from finding the entrances into the underground worlds.
Seem to be being used as guardians or sentries. That seems to be one of their duties or one of their jobs. And also, interestingly too, what I found out this fairly recently, for instance, you hear about the Yahweh and the skunk ape and, different areas of the world, and they vary in size, okay? And seems like the further north you get, the bigger they are, right? 10, sometimes 12 feet, they're reported. Well, apparently there is a formula that it actually is more cost-effective from an environmental standpoint for a body to be bigger. At the further north you go, the more you retain the heat. So literally, that's why you'll find like in Florida, they'll be like maybe 6, 7 feet tall, but you get up to Alaska and whatever, they're going to be 10, 12 feet tall. And this is the same thing with bears, same thing with moose.
Yeah, the biggest bears are up there.
Yeah, exactly, because it is more that you retain the heat better. And it's funny that it's panning out to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's really interesting.
Back to the Christmas episode. Now, a Nissi reminds me of a brownie. A brownie is this this little elf that is beholden to you for some reason. Like it feels like it owes you something, so it becomes your housekeeper for forever. And you're not allowed to thank them, but you can give them compliments. They like compliments, but you can't. You can say, "Oh, the place looks great," but you can't say thank you for cleaning for me or whatever.
And it's just, that's really weird. And let me go back up a little thing here that makes total sense why these stories or these legends or whatever you are handed down. You have to remember everything back in 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, right? Before the Industrial Revolution was, I could die if I don't have water. I could die if I don't have good crops. I could die if I don't have firewood, right? I mean, it's like I did actually another Christmas episode that's coming out about Christmas ghosts, and it's mainly focused on Charles Dickens and Christmas Carol. But one of the things I was talking about, Rissa, she was like, "Well, it's about death. Winter is about death. That's what it is." Because what were you doing back in the day when it was a farming community, right? You had all your neighbors over and you get around a fire. And what's the thing to talk about? You're not going to talk about, hey, aliens or whatever. No, you're going to talk about death, because people are dying literally around you every single day because they didn't have firewood. They didn't, their crops didn't come in. They got attacked by a bear. You know what I'm saying? So
no antibiotics.
You can come down with yellow fever or whatever the heck it is.
Absolutely.
And, goodbye.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. There was no emergency room you went in at 3:00 in the morning. There was no convenience store that you went to be like, oh, I'm out of bread. Right? There was nothing. So
exactly.
All these stories came out of that. Like, okay, let's figure out a way. And like Gryla and Krampus, and we'll talk about the Bell'nickel and the Yule goats and things like that. They were like, how do I keep my children in line? But also, how do I associate it with history and death around me? So, you know what I mean? These stories start to evolve. And that's what's really sad today is you get your family together, and what typically happens? You eat dinner, you talk about blah blah blah, and then everybody goes on the couch or whatever and falls asleep, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And what can you do? That's the way it is now. But back then, everything was about winter was death. Winter was we can't do anything because it's winter.
Yeah, hopefully we have enough food stored away.
I hope we have enough food stored away. I hope if we don't, and you might have the neighbors come over, and you might be a really good person, and you're like, well, if we don't bring them over, they could die. So let's bring them over. But maybe you didn't. So you got to remember, all these things too, witches, right? And where people would blame it. Oh, my crops didn't come in. It's because that old hag down the road, that witch, she cursed me. And that really wasn't, you're just a crappy farmer. You're just not very good at it, right?
You haven't been rotating your crops, sir.
Yeah, you're not rotating your crops. You got crappy soil, whatever, right? So it ain't her fault.
Or just a bad winter, or a bad, seasonal change.
Now, people forget how interesting it is that, from a basic level, that the time of death is immediately followed by the next season, which is the time of rebirth.
Rebirth, yeah.
So,
correct. So, one thing I wanted to ask you guys. All right, aliens have been around. Isn't it like yesterday they showed up on our doorstep?
Right.
Nope.
They were around to see this, which I find fascinating. They saw us evolve, right? And there was a period where, you had the Aztecs and the Incas and the Egyptians and the pyramids and all that stuff. And then everything kind of stopped until the Industrial Revolution took over, where, we learned how to use steam power. We learned how to, make factories. We learned how to make cars. We learned,
right.
Do you guys have any theories on that? Why there was we do.
Well, actually,
why did it stop? Why did technology just stop for a little bit?
The thing is, like in Bramley's work, The Gods of Eden, there are multiple stories, especially in Europe, where, especially during the Black Plague, and this was pretty well documented as far as these men would show up, these black men in black outfits would show up, and there would be this green mist that would show up, and they'd spray crops, and then everybody in the town, almost everybody in the town, would end up with the plague. But a lot of people don't realize that with the plague, the thing that killed you more frequently and more often was the pneumonic plague, not the bubonic plague. The Atchu all fall down, London Bridge, that the Atchu all fall down. That was written because of the plague, because of both the pneumonic and the bubonic plague.
Again, the fear of death,
So they've been around. They've been around. You see, we see. Our take on it is that they aren't aliens. Okay, they are us that broke away from us 12,850 years ago. Just because we were advanced enough to see a comet coming. And there's nothing we could do about it except either get off the earth or get,
dig in under,
or escape. So, but as far as they pretty much don't really want to interact with us because they
think of us as barbarians.
They think of us as barbaric. So the thing is, once we split the atom. Once we split the atom, they pretty much said, "Hey,
they were worried after that.
We normally stay out of contact with you guys. We're happy where we are, but you guys are threatening our existence,
right? Because they live here, and so that's why the UFOs are following our military absolutely everywhere they go on maneuvers, because they're monitoring our nukes. They're keeping close tabs on the nuclear weapons on the planet, and that's an enormous. That's an enormous commitment of resources that I don't think visitors from another star system would put in place just to save us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all kinds
from ourselves.
There are all kinds of things. Like why are they breeding with us? Why are they taking our cattle's blood? Obviously, if they're breeding with us, obviously they got to be almost the same as we are, or the same as we are. So it's there are a lot of hints here that actually really make a lot more sense than they're coming from Arcturus and they're these light beings, and why the heck would they be so concerned about us, and why would they want to mate with us? Because number one, they're not the same. They're so far different and so far evolved.
Yeah.
I wanted to interject here real quick. There's some really interesting stuff in the book called Symbiotic Planet. Okay, it's about the evolution of seaweed and kelp, and you ever read that? If you read that, as far as what it tells you is that
it's more interesting than it sounds.
It's a lot more interesting than it sounds, because it basically shows you that the beings coming from another planet, their immune systems would instantaneously be attacked by our microbes and microorganisms. It's almost like, the War of the Worlds.
Yeah, where the Martians attack us and they die in a week because they're exposed to our air.
Literally, it is true.
But yeah, it would be, because as soon as it for us too, if we got out of our spaceship and set foot on an alien planet, like a living world, not like Mars, but something with the jungles, or whatever.
Yeah,
the microbes there would immediately be attacking us. We'd have no defense against it.
Our immune systems wouldn't have enough time to make the beta cells and the lymphocytes to be able to take care of the problem. It would be overwhelming. We'd be overwhelmed.
So we think that it's not really them coming here from distant star systems per se,
Right.
But maybe aliens could come here, and it just would be one of the problems they would have to deal with. One of the things they would have to surmount.
A big
somehow.
one too. Yeah, a big one.
Yeah, I mean, with maybe advanced enough technology, it can be done or something like that. Like Star Trek did the medical filter thing. When they come back on the ship, it purges them of any contaminants or whatever.
That definitely makes sense, right? I mean,
it could happen, but it would have to in order for anybody to step foot on an alien world, I think,
Yeah, right, absolutely.
But back to Christmas. I want to talk about Christmas. So the brownie and the Nissie, are they kind of like similar? Kind of, but there's the porridge angle with the Nissie, right?
You got to do it right. You got to put the porridge out with a little thing of butter, not too much butter, not too little butter. Just right butter. Otherwise, probably what Rissa was telling me, what I read, they'll like destroy your house and burn down your house, destroy your crops and everything. It's like, wait a minute. So if you're like,
the porridge, that was today.
That was today. Oh, I used margarine instead of porridge. Margarine instead of butter. Oh no.
Oh no, olive oil. No.
No, I put in some cinnamon. Oh boy, we're really. Well, everybody, let's go. There, you get your stuff. Yeah.
And whose is the Yuletide cat? The Yule Cat. Does that belong to Gryla too?
Yes. So the Yule Cat is again Iceland, actually again, and the Yule Cat is. I always thought this is really funny. So the Yule Cat will go around and lurk in the countryside. It's a vicious cat, so you can't be like, "Give me a kitty, let's pet it." So it will lurk in the snowy countryside during the Christmas season and eat people who do not receive new clothing before Christmas Eve. I have no
this
idea.
One was fascinating. Yes.
Why? That makes zero sense. So, like, hopefully, Leslie, you bought Steven a new sweater or something like that.
She brought me a new Christmas sock.
Christmas socks.
I think that's clothing. You better put it on.
I better count.
Like that elf from Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
You've given me an article of clothing.
A sock, sir.
A sock, sir.
I think that's so funny because, if you don't have a new outfit for Christmas, you really are a loser, right? According to probably this society. And it's like, okay, if you don't have at least one something that somebody made you in a new shirt or something, that nobody cares about you.
Well, yeah. It's just, but I'm like, was this their way of getting people to be like, stop wearing that?
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
Can you get something else? I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you.
What was the thing you said, Leslie, about how the rich people or the owners, they basically got tired of right.
We saw a program about this. Apparently, the idea of Santa bringing presents to your house in a sleigh. That started supposedly in New York City because back in Europe when
the landowners, right?
Yeah, the landowners, they'd be an earl or a duke or whatever, and their serfs would be kind of their beholden to their lord, right? And so on Christmas, the lord would open the castle, and there'd be a big tree, and all the kids would get presents, and it was like a thank you. And so what was happening in these fancy uptown houses in New York were people would just crash the houses, on Christmas going, it's Christmas, right? I work for you. You have to take care of me for the day.
Hey, remember me? I'm Joe,
So they started this thing where they would get, they'd dress up in a red and they'd get in a sleigh like Father Christmas, and they would bring the toys to everyone's houses so they wouldn't come and trash their house,
Yeah, right? Like, it's so bizarre,
Yeah, when you think about it, yeah.
My favorite one is and I'm going to butcher this, and Rissa probably get on my case, but the guy veal goat, he is Swedish. Okay. And they celebrate this goat. But what I love about this goat, I don't know if you remember this, you guys remember this at all. Basically, it comes in your house and it kind of looks at your decorations and how much you decorated. And if it likes it, it's like, cool, here's some blessings, maybe give you some candy. If it doesn't like it, it like headbutts people. So I love that.
I knew it was going to be a butting. I knew it.
Oh, man. I love goats as animals.
Yeah, they're fun.
Just think about that. Some people, though, instead of using red or green or whatever, they might put pink up, or they might put I don't know, silver or something.
Sure.
I could see
chartreuse and aqua.
Yeah, right. Like beach blue or something. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
I can see the goat coming in there and going,
nope.
Wow, nope. Bam!
And they really hit hard,
right.
Yeah, it hurt.
But in Sweden, they celebrate this, and they have a guy. I was reading about this, and they do like a people going out with a goat mask and stuff, and they'll not headbutt people because I think that's probably against the law. But they'll come into your house and be like, "Oh, this is really nice," or "Oh, boo." And then I don't know what to do.
That was a window treatments. Oh my God, I'm gonna.
Oh, where did you get that? Like, hey, my kid made that, Santa Claus. Thanks a lot.
What's up with your wainscoting?
Yeah. Is that one of those frost in a can? I don't know if you ever had that. There's like little frost in a can.
You spray it on your tree.
Frost in a can or real frost? That's come on.
And does he prefer like the old-fashioned colors, the reds and the greens?
I imagine so. I guess it never really got into. It's just and they'll look at your clothes too, I guess too, and be like, "Man, you can't pull off red." Bam. So like, what? I joked in my episode that I am in big trouble. Because we're finally getting our decorations up because we've been really busy. I'm like, that goat be headbutting me left and right.
He's coming, John.
I know. I'm afraid to open the door. I'm not talking about aliens and black-eyed children. I'm like, oh, there's a goat. Right. I'm not opening that door.
Yeah, we had a couple of goats for a while, and we just loved them. And in fact, Leslie's got a couple stories. In fact, they're talking about the goat like coming into your house and kind of looking at you.
Yes.
This happened to Leslie once.
They have these wild eyes that look like figure 8 shapes or something. The pupil is really strange. And I was making dinner, and suddenly I turn around. There's a goat in the kitchen. She had broken into the kitchen, and I had all this food out on the kitchen counter. I thought, oh my God, she's going to get up there and ruin everything. I grabbed a bunch of grapes was right on the counter. I grabbed a big bunch of those, and she'll follow those anywhere. And she followed them outside. I managed to get her outside.
We go.
I had her do the same thing. Frankie, we named her Frankie. Actually,
she had blue eyes like Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. So anyways, it was the same. This was lunchtime. Leslie was at work, and I was just doing some stuff in the kitchen. And next thing I know, this goat, Frankie, with her horns, is just like she's a miniature goat, but still pretty big, and she's just looking at me. It's like what to do. And then this is a fearless goat, right? So For some reason, she just got it into her to jump onto the counter. And so she just basically, bing, sprung right onto the counter.
It's amazing how high they can jump.
She did some crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
We came home one time when she was like in our...
she had jumped a 6-foot fence and gotten into one of those above-ground pools. And she couldn't get back out, and she was swimming for her life at this point. When we pulled her out, she was just shivering with exhaustion, But
she
got over a 6-foot fence.
Oh, she had more than 3 or 4 lives. I rescued her like on 4 different occasions where she should have died. Wow. Yeah. So
they do. Yeah. They are devils for getting into trouble. As far as
we also fed her to I fed her like with a bottle. With formula. She was so young when we got her, so she was kind of like my daughter in a sense.
Yeah.
So. She didn't like Leslie very much, but she liked me.
I think it was because when we bought her, and I was bottle feeding her, and it seemed like she loved me. But then we got 2 puppies. And these dogs kind of took over our lives, and she became jealous, and she blamed me, apparently. And so she would attack me every chance she got, Yeah. That's why I know what it feels like to be butted by a goat, because she would hit me hard, and it's like I'd have a bruise there the next day for sure.
Oh, of course.
She never attacked me. But
no, she loved him.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
She was a daddy's goat.
Yeah, daddy's girl. Yeah,
daddy's goat. I love it.
So, speaking of goats, there's one animal in the show called. Help me with the pronunciation. Marilude.
Yes. So this is really interesting. We're probably both gonna butcher it. The Mary Lloyd or Lloyd. Wow, the tell Rissa, she'll probably
Mary Lloyd.
Yeah, something to that effect. So what this is really, and they still do this today, by the way.
And they wear the costume, right? Yeah,
correct. Yeah, so it's found in South Wales. So this isn't in Iceland again or Germany. This is actually in South Wales. So what they do is they go around in the town, and usually a man will wear basically a horse's head. And actually, it is a horse's skull, to be totally specific.
Right. And they'll dress it up with crepe paper or something.
Yeah. And they'll dress it up with little flowers on it and everything. And they'll go around, and what they'll do is they'll knock on your door. And when they knock on your door, it will start singing. And then you got to kind of like sing along with it. And kind of like do a for better or not, like a rap song kind of thing, where like they'll be going blah 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 blah, and you'll go da da, and you gotta like keep up with that. And
so it comes over your house and serves you.
Well, I guess so.
You've been served.
I guess so, but you have to like, it's kind of like I don't know.
That is hilarious.
Where there are people singing a cappella and other people join in and turns into like a chorus, kind of the same thing, but you got to match whatever the person is singing. So if they're like, I went to town, and then you might say, I had a frown, and then they'll say, I saw a clown, and you got to keep like, you know what I mean? And, like,
you have to extend it out. Yeah.
Your skin is brown.
Yeah, right. You got to keep going though. And then whenever they're done, I guess, whenever they decide, then you get, you come in and you're given food and drink, and you have a big old party. And I'm like, oh, okay. This one doesn't bite you. Yeah, this one doesn't bite you or hit you with a switch or eat you or
eat your children. Yeah,
it's more like a singing battle. It's just like, okay, you go, I go. Yeah. Oh yeah, you win.
It's kind of like a trick or treat thing where you go up and you have to perform a trick, instead of to get a treat, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it so funny how different cultures, like for instance, like in the South, like for instance, like in Louisiana and such like that, when somebody dies, it's kind of like a celebration, and other cultures too. It's a celebration that you're finally, you're finally out of this world. You're into a better place. That you've done your time, and now good for you. You've passed on, and it's not to be mourned; it's to be celebrated that you've done your time in a sense.
Yeah, and the thing about the tradition too is I think it's really interesting because they still celebrate this tradition in South Wales. It starts at dusk and it goes late into the night. So it could be 10:30, 11 o'clock. Someone's knocking on your door. I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
It's Mary Lou.
Yeah,
You gotta let her in and
you have to open your door. You have to.
Oh,
'Cause if
otherwise
you
it's bad
don't-
luck, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like bad luck as well as it's just look like, hey, come on, these people, this is one night you can open your door. Like, don't worry about it, kind of attitude too. But back in the day, it was more like open your door or you're going to be cursed kind of thing or whatever's bad going to happen to you. But in today's modern era, it's more like, come on, let's actually have a community. That's crazy. I know. Put your phone down for like 10 minutes.
Right.
So I just think it's really interesting.
We had this tradition in my family, the Shaw family, and on New Year's Eve, when it struck midnight and whatever. Now it was like the next year. We had this tradition where we would stay up and we'd take our favorite animal, whoever was chosen, take the favorite animal, go out the back door backwards, and go all the way around to the front door and let in the new year with, let's say, myself and let's say our dog, our favorite dog. It was a tradition that came from England. So you have to go out the back door and you have to come in the front door with your favorite animal or your favorite whatever it may be.
Sure.
And we did that forever, so.
That's interesting.
Great.
On Christmas Eve or something, you do that?
No, it was on
New Year's. New Year's. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What
was the cute? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's not traditions are slowly being phased out. You know what I mean? There are certain villages and towns where they celebrate it and they're still doing the right thing by not making Christmas commercial. But most people are what? Okay, I gotta get my last minute gifts. Oh, I gotta go to get make cookies and I gotta get everybody slow down for a second. Let's get together and let's not worry about cookies and presents and let's just enjoy one another, right?
Yeah, spend good times is better,
Actually talk face to face and not do texting. Don't have arguments over by texting. I mean, I met a doctor. I met a doctor. This is maybe like 15 years ago now. That she insisted that couples, especially young couples, that were having problems. He said, "Okay, I'm going to help you, but you have to get rid of your cell phones for like a week, and you literally have to stop having these arguments via text. You actually have to sit down and talk to each other,
face-to-face interaction."
Even back 15
heaven forbid.
Even back 15 years ago, these people literally started to go through withdrawal. They said, "Oh my God, it's like my drug is in here," and it's literally we've become so addicted.
I would be lost without my phone.
So reliant upon technology.
Oh, everybody is.
Oh, it's horrible. Really, it is. People don't talk face to face anymore. It's hard to get somebody like friends, even on the phone, to have a conversation. They just want to do it via text or something like that.
Yeah.
In your blurb about the Christmas, your description rather about the Christmas episode, there was these little creatures that they're called they lick your spoon and your bowl at night. They lick it clean. The spoon licker and bowl licker, and then pot scraper. And they come at night and clean, scrape out your pot and eat what's left. And that reminded me of the thing about goat suckers. Goat suckers are birds that people thought used to suck the milk out of goats, because the way they sit, with their heads up, they look like they're going to suckle off of the bottom of your goat or something.
Yeah, sure.
They never did, but it seemed to me that maybe that idea came from those birds, maybe, or the other way around,
Right. I mean, one of the things, I love history, as you guys know, and one of the things, like with Native Americans, is they would study birds and animals and stuff and then put those in their dances, right? So they would, there might be a bear dance, there might be an eagle dance, there might be, and they just dance like that. And it occurred to me, I'm like, well, yeah, in other foreign countries, that's one of the things they did, right? they imitated, what they saw with the goats, and they imitated what, they saw with the horses or whatever, and kind of put it into their stories. And I think that's just super interesting.
Yeah, like you're saying, traditions are important. It gives you a connection to your ancestors, to your past,
continuity,
to actually, to actually have them to communicate and actually, care. So.
But he's right. As we blend cultures together and become more homogenous, kind of, as far as our cultures, we start to lose little things like that. Little traditions start to go away.
It's even worse than that. It's because of the advent of not actually having to communicate with people and everything being so instantaneous and like impulsive activities and just like it's like a different world than we grew up in.
Absolutely. One I wanted to get to really quickly, Leslie was bringing up, was Bell'nickel. That actually was, if you watch The Office, the sitcom The Office, that was on there. It's German, and basically it's from northern Germany, and the Bell'nickel basically had, again, threatening, but also niceness. So what he would do again is he would come in and be the shaggy, kind of old looking guy, and he would come into your house. I guess he just busted in. I don't know anyway, he was wearing furs, sometimes a mask, and he had a long tongue. He typically was very ragged and disheveled. And what he would do was he would come in and he carries a switch again. I guess that's the thing to do. And for naughty children, he beat them. And then for nice children, he had pockets full of cakes, candles, nuts,
presents,
little candy for good children.
Little presents for them,
I was started. My sense of humor took over. I'm like, if I saw a guy like this and he handed me a cake out of his tattered,
would you eat it?
If I could eat that, I'd be like, thank you for saying I'm good, but keep the cake. I'm good.
It's as you say, it's funny because you're talking about things that would be necessities for surviving, like light, food, treats a little bit here and there, whatever. It's just be like
calories,
the little niceties to be able to get some extra calorie or warmth.
Absolutely, and again, like we're talking about, it's all associated with winter. Basically meant, passing and remembered loved ones, and it was death. I mean, there's no way around it because that's what it was. And that's, wow. You think about that, how dark it was, and even going outside, with the darkness, you didn't know what could happen. It's there were not really lights.
Sometimes they'd be on the coast and they'd be fishermen, taking their lives in their hands out in the North Sea in the
oh my God,
winter.
It's like exactly. I mean, this a couple hundred years ago, people, exactly. We are so used to not being in the dark that when in modern day culture, if we actually are exposed to being in the dark, we have to say, "Where's our candles? There? Do we have enough batteries for the lanterns?" And we start to freak out.
And what do you do with yourself? They say, "Oh, you can read by candlelight." No, you need like 50 candles to be able to read by candlelight.
I don't even know how to read anymore.
And what was interesting about that, speaking of reading and everything, Charles Dickens in Christmas Carol, one thing I was doing research and I thought about this a little differently was, remember, he was in the advent of the Industrial Revolution. So what we've been talking about through this episode was traditions started to go away. There was no more Bell'nickel. There was no more Gryla. There was no more Yule Cat. There was no more Graville, the goat. You know what I'm saying? There was no more Krampus. It was done. It was gone because everyone was what? Kind of
Christian.
Like that, and we're working right, and we have factory jobs and all these jobs that were created during the. Everyone forgot about it. So
we're busy, when
I was reading and doing my research on that, I was like, I've seen Christmas Carol a million times, but it never occurred to me what he was trying to say. So remember, it was the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. Right. So if you looked at it, like the ghost of Christmas past was kind of showing your regrets. And I think he wrote that because he was like, hey, we're getting away from family and traditions and everything. And then the ghost of Christmas present, was basically showing, oh, things could be better, and maybe you got to do something to make them better. And
Compassion,
then the Christmas future was about death. Like, if we continue down this path, this is what's going to happen. And it wasn't just about, Ebenezer Scrooge. It was about everybody. Ebenezer Scrooge represented everything. You know what I mean? Like, the character of that, when you really look at it, was the Industrial Revolution. Like, this is what's happening. And I looked at it and I was doing my research and I'm like, oh, no, I get it. Like, he was really trying to tell people it wasn't about one person. It was about everybody. Like, hey, we're heading down this path. So I know when you guys were talking about, when we were talking about aliens and how they want to bring us love and help us and really show us that this earth needs to, be better with and treat it better. I'm like, yeah. Right? Well, we continue to go down the other path. And I just find it interesting. Like, it's kind of a life lesson.
I really like the Christmas Carol story too. And I've seen, I don't know, like 100 versions of it too.
Yeah,
but there
at
was
least 10. Yeah.
There was frequently Scrooge comes face to face with the fact that he's going to die.
Yeah.
And that's when he turns over a whole new leaf. But once in a while, it's not just death. Once in a while, they bring the chain that he is to wear, like Marley was going to have to had to wear.
Right.
And because he was even worse than Marley, his chain was twice the size, and so it's more. It's not just about death, but damnation, as far as
and karma, damnation, karma.
Yeah.
You got to pay for your bad acts.
Yes. So I think that's where I really like the. When they add that little wrinkle to it too. It's not just about dying. We all die, but it's about where you're going when you die, and what's going to happen to you after.
Yeah. And now that we've bummed everybody out. Great. Thanks, guys. Now I'm totally bummed out.
Well, it's just, I'm sorry we don't want to do that, but
it has a happy ending. He reforms in time, and
this is a time of winter's a time of reflection. We got the New Year coming up. The whole thing about New Year's resolutions, and almost it's like getting a Stairmaster for Christmas, and the next thing you know, a year later, the Stairmaster is collecting dust.
It's a coat rack now.
Like, here, you got this. You got this wonderful tool. You got this wonderful tool. And you're not using it. It's like, because,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's right. I think people have to understand, with all these things we talked about, you still can, reflect and turn your life around and say, maybe it's not all about money. Maybe it's not all about, being not being with my kids, or just career, or whatever you're thinking about. I just think that's just really interesting. I did a episode with Leslie Stanton. She's a medium that handles grief. And the reason I wanted to do that is because, not to bum everyone out about again, but a lot of people have lost loved ones around this time, right?
Yeah.
Or before. And like, how do you deal with that? And her message was totally positive. Like, they're showing you signs. They're right there for you. You can talk to them. I can help you. And I was like, right. I mean, that's what a lot of people forget about. It's the same with the Christmas, right? All these lessons about being naughty and getting beaten and headbutted. It's like, wait a minute. I don't want to be headbutted and beaten and whatever. I want a good life, and I want the treats, and I want, to have fun. So I think that's these stories. That's why they were put out there. So people would be like,
they're to get kids to behave, but they had so many iterations on how to do that, right? Like the boogeyman, if you don't behave, or whatever, it's coming to get you.
There's a really interesting story that I learned when I was going to acupuncture college back in 1986 for 4 years. And the teacher was Bongdal Kim. He was the owner of he was Korean. He was the owner of the school. He told us the story about might be bad, might be good. Okay. And it's one of these stories that actually makes a lot of sense. Like this chief, okay, has this son who's like the heir apparent, right? And he's like riding this horse and he breaks his leg, and says, "Oh man, terrible! You know, your son broke his leg." Then a war breaks out, and his son can't go to war, so they have to go to war. But his son, you know, doesn't go to war, so he doesn't die. Okay, so that's okay. That's good, right? So they come back, and then they lose their prize horse. Oh, that's terrible, right?
Yeah.
But then the prize horse ends up coming back a few days later with all these really cool mares. So, oh, that's great. it keeps on going on, this whole thing. Like,
Yeah, might be good, might be bad, might be good, might be bad.
You
yeah.
lose something, but you gain something. You lose something, but you gain something. And I can't remember the end of the story, but it's just like one of these things like, oh my God, this is terrible. But no, it ends up being a better thing. And then, oh my God, this is terrible. And, you know, it's like, it's a famous story, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you should take from this, you know, that it's your time, the end of the year, to reflect and say, well, I want to start off 2025 with a better year and everything.
Well, I can't let you get away without telling me about the Christmas poop or something in Spain. What was the thing about the poop?
Oh, yeah. Let's see if I have that.
Let's finish with that one.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Oh, shite.
Oh, shite. I'm going to have to look that up because I know I was going through so much and I was going through the big ones. Yeah, that's hilarious. That's in Spain. Let me see here. Oh, man. I might have
Reminded me of that South Park character, you know, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Hanky?
Miss Hanky.
Mr. Hanky, yeah.
Oh, boy. I am not finding that right now.
That's all right. I'll have to put it in the show notes.
Yeah, you have to put it in the show notes.
Faith and Begoran.
Oh, dear.
Because I was just like, okay. Oh, yeah, it's a log. It's a log. Okay. So the story goes, in the days preceding Christmas, children must take a good care of their log, keep it warm, and feeding it so that it will defecate presents on Christmas Day or Eve. So yes, you have a log. You must keep it warm and feed it. I don't know how you feed a log.
Yeah, what does it eat?
I have no idea. And then basically it defecates presents on Christmas Day or Eve. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
It's called Tio de Nadal. Tio de Nadal. Look it up, folks. When we were talking about it,
we're not making it up.
We're not
it's real.
making it up. Tio de Nadal. Leslie put it in your notes, so people can look it up too. Yeah, it's a log. I don't know how you feed a log. And I don't know why it's pooping presents. Again, cakes in people's messy, smelly jackets, and now we got poopy gifts.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do it.
I guess they would look like chocolate logs, you know, or something.
Well, yeah,
maybe it's like a traditional chocolate dessert or something, you know.
Pinch a loaf or drop a log.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a poop, but it's delicious. You'll love it.
You know, that's funny because, you know, people hear about, like, you know, the old saying about night soil. And actually, this used to be a tradition. If you went to a person's house, let's say for whatever, like around, say Christmas time, you were kind of expected to have a poop. Okay, literally, night soil came like in the middle of the night, like say 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. You get up and you're giving to the community or to that house. By giving a poop. That's why it's called night soil. It was actually something that was encouraged. It was actually like saying a thank you by giving a poop.
Like belching is a compliment or something.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's not. It was a real thing, you know.
Right. Yeah. So I just put in the. I don't know if you guys can see it. I just put in the chat. Just an article I quickly found about the Christmas log pooping presents.
Thank you.
So you guys can take a look at that.
Well, you found the notes, so we were able to have it.
Yeah. And again, it's so funny. Is like you pick the most, maybe not greatest thing. Like, you know, I guess not peeing. Like, why didn't they do peeing? Why doesn't it pee presents?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's whole stories about pee, how actually it's really good for you. Or, if you need you need to drink it.
Right?
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a maroon Japanese pilot in World War II.
The Japanese pilot they found on this remote island back in the late 80s, and he was like in his late 50s, and he looked like he was in his 30s, and he still thought the war was going on.
Yeah, so he's hiding still.
Yeah, and he was subsisting a lot upon drinking his own pee because he had nothing else.
He didn't have enough water source, you know.
So anyway.
Sorry, the show is devolving, my dears.
Yeah.
Here's another thing for you. Let's just stay with this, okay? As long as we're down the path.
Yes, we may as well.
Yeah.
So my cousin, he was in the 82nd Airborne. He was a platoon sergeant and everything. And one of the days he had athlete's foot. And he's like, oh, man, this is really bothering me. And one of the other sergeants came up to him. He goes, you know how you get rid of that? And he's like, yeah, just spray it. I mean, I don't know, what are you telling me? And he goes, no, when you're in the shower next time, pee on your feet and get rid of it.
Yep, it works. It's antiseptic.
Correct.
Right.
Who knew?
Yeah. So people, we have really gone down a rabbit hole.
Yes, we sure down the toilet.
Yeah, the number one and the number two. Yes.
Love it.
Dear. Well, let's go back to Christmas. What else? What have I missed? There was one of your other crazy creatures. Oh, the Yule Kids. Weren't those the kids of Gryla?
Yeah, Gryla. Yep.
Gryla. I'm sorry, Gryla. Yeah. And what was the thing with them? They would come stomping into your house and
correct. They were like ogres. So that's the word I was trying to think. They're like ogres, and they were coming in, and they would kind of help Gryla kind of grab the kids and everything. And they would stomp on you. They would stomp on the kid. Obviously killing it. Killing the kid.
Make it stop moving, though. See.
Yeah. And then. Basically, it was like, here you go, Mom, eat them.
Yikes!
What is going on here? Like,
how discerning were they about truly assessing people's behavior? This was a bad kid. Yeah.
And the funny thing was, there was 13 of them. And, again, 13 is always considered a mystical number or a bad luck number.
There were 13 Yule Kids?
Yes, these ogres, correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think she would carry them on her back. Because remember, Gryla was a witch, yes, and she could come down to normal size. But typically, she was like, I think like 100 feet tall or something to that effect. I mean, she was big. So you see her marching down there. And then I'm like, well, how does she get in the house? And then I was told, well, she kind of like shrinks down, and then they go in, and then they kick the crap out of people. And then she grabs the kids and goes roaming again. And I'm like, wow, all right. Interesting.
Like the Rowdy Three,
that would make for an interesting forensic file. You think, with all the evidence from back then. How do we trace this down? Who's the actual offender?
Follow the giant footprints out of town. Into the forest.
And what's interesting about that is if you look through history and different sources with Iceland, a lot of people thought giants were in Iceland. Now, you got to remember the average person at that time, was like 5'3", 5'4".
Right.
So someone came in was 7 feet tall, like some genetic something happened, right? Craziness.
Yeah.
And they come in and they're 7 feet tall, or they're 6'5". That's probably a giant.
Yeah.
Probably a giant to you. But then again, there have been discovering of some interesting things through.
Oh yes, giant skeletons have been.
Skeletons, correct? Giant skeletons.
And the cover up about it is the really bizarre thing about it. They keep finding skeletons. In the U.S., the Smithsonian was supposed to be the ones responsible for gathering up all the evidence and destroying it or losing it.
Yeah,
but it happens in Malta and it happens in Sardinia, where
Great Britain.
they find these giant skeletons, and then the next thing you know, these men in black show up and take them. And it's it points to a cabal of power that doesn't like to show their hand very often, but here they're showing their hand again. Something is so important about keeping the giant evidence secret that they're willing to show their hand, and I find that very fascinating. Whenever I see people suppressing information, that's where I get a beeline on it. I instantly start researching into exactly that.
And the thing too with the giants, apparently, like Hugh Newman's done a lot of good research on this. The giants of Great Britain, the giants of the Americas, and apparently the giants of America, quite a few of them had double rows of teeth.
Yeah.
Okay. But they've never found that in Europe, but they found it in the Americas, where they had two sets of teeth, which is interesting in and of itself. So,
and sometimes they were buried, there'd be like 10 normal people in a circle around the corpse in the middle, and the middle one is this giant, like an 11-foot tall man with jewelry and, obviously like put in the position of importance and given finery, like there's one giant skeleton that was covered in pearls, and obviously near an ocean. It was one of the mounds, I think.
Yeah,
in
there are a
Virginia
lot of the burial things on the island of Malta too. I mean, literally almost like over 1,000 of them. Whatever. Yeah,
the Naragi things.
The Naragis.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I have a question. This ain't Christmas at all, but I have to ask. What do you think about the drones that have been seen over New Jersey? Do you guys have any thoughts one way or another?
Yeah. When I've seen I'm sorry, Darren.
Were you talking about the ones that over the CIA?
No, the ones over New Jersey are over Trump's residence there, the Bedminster Golf Course or something, golf club. Yeah. UFOs have defining characteristics, and I'm not hearing that these drones have them. They don't take off at supersonic instantaneous speeds. They don't make impossible angular turns. People are hearing like blades when they get close enough to them, so they're not perfectly silent. They're not cloaking, so they're not behaving in the way that UFOs behave, where you're sure it's a UFO. It couldn't be anything else except a UFO.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking no. I'm thinking they're not UFOs. But when you see the orbs, the round orbs that look like it has a square inside that's spinning and flickering, and those are what I think of as the aliens or cousin spy drones. Ryan Graves, one of the pilots that spoke at the congressional hearing in summer of 23.
Part of the Red Rippers, right?
Yeah, he was out of Oceana on Virginia. He flew, whenever they flew, almost every time they flew, they saw these orbs. And one of them flew right between two F-18s. And, so there's only 50 feet away from each one. And it was when at lightning speed between them.
And he said it's about like a 15-foot diameter clear
glass sphere
with this
like a black cube inside.
That was spinning. Rotating.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say the spinning part, but when we see them when they hover, that cube spins, giving them this flickering appearance. And a little over 50% of UFO sightings are these orbs. So obviously they're not a manned craft so I think there's some sort of spy drone of theirs, but they're able to go at supersonic speeds and make V-shaped angular turns and shoot 3,600 miles.
Well, they've actually been clocked. I mean, remember the one off of
Michigan,
Lake Michigan was actually clocked at going 72,000 miles an hour.
Yeah,
by the weather station.
This was a mass sighting. I'm thinking 94.
It was 94.
94.
Believe, yeah.
It was in the winter, and Lake Michigan was half frozen, and I like mass sightings because, like one person could be mistaken or lying or crazy, but when 300 people call the cops and say, there's a UFO in my backyard, then I think you're looking at something real. And the cops actually called the National Weather Service station right on the coast of Michigan there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he turned his radars where they were seeing these UFOs. And he picked them up going at 72,000 miles an hour.
This was more than one UFO, and this was over a period of time too.
Yeah, they were triangulating, like they were searching the lake for something, like that triangulation search where it's in a triangle, And then they move over, and then they go over a triangle.
Like a grid pattern.
Like grid searching,
And this went on for like an hour or two, right?
Several hours, and I think what happened is later they finally found what they were looking for, which I think was clear, ice-free fresh water. I think they were actually on a water run.
Something.
Witnesses on the beach saw these. They thought there was like a column of water coming down, but really, I think it was going up. It's like being sucked up into the ship.
Yeah, sure.
So I think they just literally were going on. They needed more fresh water, and so
that you can make fuel. You can make fuel from
water. Water.
Yes.
Separating the hydrogen, and there's a lot of interesting science about that.
Or whatever their aquifer they were using dried up, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's fascinating.
Obviously, it's the fundamental thing for life is water is number one, and
right.
Yeah.
And if they're us, then they need water too, and so I think that's what that was all about.
Wow, that's interesting. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I guess we're at our about at our time limit.
We're at the witching hour. We're at the witching hour.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for coming on. And did you have anything in particular you'd like to plug for shameless plugging?
Yeah, I will plug away. So, I'm releasing another Christmas episode that I talked to Erica. She's from Haunted Atlas, and
wonderful,
she's a paranormal investigator. And we were talking about Christmas ghosts. We were talking about Charles Dickens and also about ghost stories and why they've gone away. Like, why don't people tell ghost stories like they used to? Because, again, that was the big thing. So that's coming out. Yeah. I'm going to put it out on Christmas Eve. So, again, when people are sick of their family, they're like, I'll listen to John's episode. And then
in between turkey comas,
turkey comas and ham and whatever else, and the diabetic coma. Yeah, here's more chocolate. Eat more chocolate.
Cornbread.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing that, and then I'm looking forward to next year. I'm gonna do more things because we had a round table I had last Halloween with mediums. So I had a number of mediums on, and we just kind of talked about what do they go through and how do they deal with life and what's a day like for them and what do they think about portals and everything. And it was just so interesting. Yeah. So I want to do something more like that and like have you both on and bring some other UFO investigators on and kind of talk about kind of different views, right? Like,
you can count on us. We'd love it. We'd love to do it.
Yeah. Again, some people view it as they're here to help us. Other people view it, they're here to kill us kind of attitude. I'm like, I just love to have that conversation. So yes. I would love to have you guys
certain
on.
One way or another.
Yeah, my mom, right? my mom was a medium, and every woman in the Shaw line going back to Germany were mediums apart from one. And my sister now, she's living with her husband in northern England.
She's a ghost hunter now.
She's a ghost hunter. She's actually taken up the mantle of being a medium. Well, she's actually more of she uses the spirit box, and she also does, she contacts, our dead relatives, and also Old Glegly, the spirit guy that's actually an alien.
Yeah.
Actually a cousin. Sorry.
One of our cousins,
yeah. So it's still, we have our opinions, and my mom had this saying that she's been looking for a happy medium for her whole life, but she's never met one. So, her being very British, always trying land in the middle as far as being a happy medium.
Yeah.
And so it was a double entendre, one of those things,
Well, she was a wit, darling. She was a wit.
She was a wit, yeah.
Oh, I love that. So this has been so much fun. Thank you for having me on. And yes, I'll definitely have you guys back on, whether it be at a round table or just an episode, because there's a
Sure.
lot of things coming up here in the new year that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting.